I'm the main person tonight. So I wrote this in about November, December, and obviously a lot's happened, and the news is chaotic and things keep falling apart, so I need to just explain a couple of things. There's problems with it, you know, for example, in January, I went out to do the show in Dorchester in the south of England. By the time I got back to the hotel, Elon Musk had done 2 Nazi salutes at Donald Trump's I didn't have that on my Trump's inauguration ceremony bingo card. I think to do 1 Nazi salute at Trump's inauguration may be considered a misfortune. But to do 2 begins to look like carelessness. That is an Oscar Wilde joke that I've ripped off. Oscar Wilde, typical diversity hire. Hope you won't let him near an air traffic control tower. You see, that got a big laugh in January. Back when Donald Trump said gays were making planes crash or something. Now, no one can remember it, because so much else has happened. You look back on that comment with a sense of nostalgia. So, like I said, I'm 9 months into this tour. I'm still not sure what the show's really about. There's loads of jokes in it. Okay, I don't need to worry about that. Andy's around cheering sarcastically there. I say loads of jokes. There's 6, and they're in the first 5 minutes. But, just, you know, jokes are very easy for me. I've been doing this 36 years now. To me, a joke is just like a little mousetrap mechanism, and then the subject of the joke, that's the cheese, and then it snaps shut, and everyone goes, ah. To me, someone like Jimmy Carr, who's got loads of jokes, he's just like a bloke that works for Rentokil, really. You've got your mousetrap, that's the joke, yeah, and then the subject of the joke, that's the cheese, yeah, all the different cheeses. So, it relates back to one of my most popular routines, that line, and the fact that about 1/3 of you recognise it tells me that doing a theatre of this size in Edinburgh is an act of hubris.
Red Leicester!
What?
Red Leicester!
I've got hearing aids. Right? There they are, and I set them for the lower area of the theatre so that I can interact with people in the front few rows. Red Leicester, yes, that's what that was the joke. By all means, cry out, but we will have to work as a team. The comment will have to be relayed to the front and then passed on to me. It's not going to be a snappy response. We'll get there in the end. I'm deaf, I struggle with hearing, but I soldier on doing the shows and I don't make a big fucking fuss about it. So, initially, this show, I made myself laugh because I've not said that before. So initially, this show was going to be about how I think there's a particular school of stand-up comedian who gets like $60 million a show for Netflix, and they do quite sort of cruel humour about gender and race and disability. People like Jimmy Carr, Ricky Gervais, Dave Chappelle, whatever, and I wonder if they've perhaps robbed us of our empathy as a society, helped to prime the world for populism, maybe push us towards a Trump. Is anyone interested in this? Then, for example, sir, do you think that jokes exist in a vacuum, or do you think the subject of a joke is affected by it in the real world? It depends if the person saying it is me or Jimmy Carr. Incidentally, if I address you, I'm not interested in making fun of you. I'm not interested in you at all, really. What I want is a quick answer that will move me into this next bit, which I'll do the same as I would have done anyway. I will create space for you to get the laugh, which is, of course, what I spent the 90s doing, if you remember. So yeah, that was a very nuanced answer that you get. I'm worried, though, that this is a bit of a sort of pretentious subject for a show, and I did get the piss taken out of me for being a sort of North London liberal into actual elitist, so I'm worried that this isn't of interest to most people. Although, I was at the East London Experimental Music Venue Cafe Otto last night. I was watching the American free jazz trio Little Black Egg. I was talking to the avant-garde feminist filmmaker Gina Birch and the Booker Prize-nominated novelist Matt Thorne about this, and they said they thought it was a good idea for a show. So what I'm trying to do in the next 2 hours, about 2 hours a show normally, first half's about 50-55 minutes, second half's about 35-40. There's an interval. If in the interval, in the light of new legislation, you're confused about which toilet to use, just shit in a bag and send that to Keir Starmer. Anderson will sort through those. Because he's not busy at the moment, and he'll make sure that they get to the right toilet. So, 2 hours, we should be out by 9:30. So what I'm going to do in the next 2 hours, in the first hour, I'm going to do sort of liberal stand-up in a sort of liberal way, right? Then in the start of the second half, I'm going to do reactionary sort of Netflix nasty stand-up in a reactionary sort of Netflix way. Then at the end of the second half, I'm going to do liberal stand-up in a nasty reactionary Netflix way. So it's basically the stand-up comedy equivalent of the great triptych altarpieces of the cathedrals. And so what I think now is maybe this show is about the fact that in a world of Trump and Mustard Gervais, what even is comedy? You know, there's an adjudicated rapist in the White House. Yeah. So on some level, liberal satire has failed. Isn't it? So I'm sick of comedy. I'm sort of sick of my comedy. I'm sick of me. I'm sick of my own thoughts. Do you ever have that? Where you think something and you go, oh, fuck off. Fuck off. That's exactly the kind of thing you think. You know, do that. Do you know what I do? And I like to get away from me. I'm sick of me. But I can't get away from me because I'm a minor celebrity. So everywhere I go, I get recognised normally as someone else immediately. People go, oh, look, it's Todd Carty from the 80s. Oh, look, it's Edwin Collins. Oh, look, it's the Serbian war criminal Ratko Mladic. He's looking after himself. But I like to get away from people, and that's why my favourite hobby that I like to do, I like to go as far away as possible from people, to deserted moors and islands and mountains. And I like to visit the ancient monuments, the stone circles, the standing stones, the burial chambers. Do you have a favourite ancient monument in the UK that's ideally older than 5,000 years old and not Stonehenge? No. No. Where? Callanish on Lewis, very impressive stone circle. Have you been there, sir? Yeah. You know, of course, it was not as high originally. There was they were set in mud, but it's eroded, but it's a very impressive place. I went there. Actually, I first went there in 1990. I had a gig at Strathclyde University in Glasgow, and I managed to hitchhike up to there and see that first. So that's good. We'll come back to that later. My favourite ancient monument, I was about 8 years old and I was reading a book about them. There was a page about the most remote one in Britain. And I thought, right, on my 50th birthday, I'm going to go there. And that's what I did on my 50th birthday. 42 years later, I got a train to Scrabster on the northeast coast of your country. I got a ferry to Orkney. From there, I got another ferry to the island of Westray. From there, I got Britain's shortest commercial flight, 6 minutes, to the island of Papa Westray. From there, I got a bloke to row me out to this tiny little archipelago, the home of Pappy. I said, come back in a couple of hours, and on my own I walked up to the hill at the top of the island and I dropped down into this amazing 6,000-year-old Neolithic burial chamber. It was an amazing moment, everything I've dreamed of. I was in this amazing circular, underground, very holy feeling sort of space, alone on my 50th birthday, running my hands over the 6,000-year-old's runes carved into the wall. It was everything I dreamed of. And then another man dropped down into the road. And he went, oh, it's you, isn't it? I fucking love your shit, mate. Can I have a selfie? Oh, how does this work? That was ruined. And then, when I got home, about 2 weeks later, I saw him put it up on the internet, the picture, and underneath he put me in a 6,000-year-old burial chamber on an uninhabited island with the singer from UB40. So maybe that's what this show's about, I don't know. It's not very important, this bit at the beginning. I just do it to try and get everyone settled, because I'm sick of people wandering about. So, we'll crack on now. I'm going to go off, come back on, we'll forget this ever happened, and then the show will start properly. This wasn't even it was all right. Playing stand-up comedian, Mr. Stuart. Looking well. UB40 has joined Shawaddy Waddy. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Right-wing philosopher Douglas Murray has let himself go. But not to Birmingham, because it's a no-go area for white people, apparently. Should be a big laugh for that, Edinburgh. Don't come and see me. It's a clever satire of the creeping normalisation of fascist rhetoric in 21st century Britain. Don't come and see me if you don't know what's going on or agree with everything I think. Because it's a very difficult time to be doing stand-up. This is the fun bit at the top of the show, the topical bit. And for the last 14 years, this bit was easy. Because for the last 14 years, I could just come out and I could go, oh, the Tories are shit, aren't they? But that's fucked now, thanks to Keir Starmer. You know, well, there's nothing funny about the Labour government, is there? Trying to get a joke out of the Labour government, it's like staring at a wound. Wishing it would stop oozing. Well, I've written 6 jokes. But there's a sort of problem here, can you see? What's happened is this entire mic cable has disappeared into a crack under the stage. And if I keep pulling this, and in the end, Chick Murray comes out. Or Sir Harry Lauder has been in there. Never worked in any other theatre, that bit. So, 6 jokes about the news, we'll crack on through these, and then we'll head into the punishing experimental stand-up, which, whilst massively critically acclaimed, has seemingly become a stranger to most major streaming platforms. Joke 1. Yeah, they're numbers. Joke 1. Keir Starmer is so boring. Yeah, I wrote this, but we just thought he was boring. Do you remember? Rather than incompetent, psychotically evil bastard. Keir Starmer is so boring, he's in trouble for accepting and not declaring £698 worth of free Coldplay tickets. What a hill to die on, Jesus Christ. Coldplay is so boring, even Coldplay's own family members won't accept free Coldplay. Coldplay is so boring, the drummer from Coldplay doesn't even know that he's in Coldplay. He thinks he's in Radiohead in 1993. Joke 2. Hey! Hey! I hate Keir Starmer as much as the next North London champagne socialist, right? But even I think he's been badly treated by a biased BBC. I mean, if it's like a new normal way of doing comedy. I mean, fucking hell, look. I mean, if BBC political editor Laura Koonsberg went any further to the right, she'd need scaffolding. I mean, there's 3 of these, strap in. I mean, if BBC political editor Chris Mason was any more unbalanced, he'd need an orthopaedic shoe. I mean, if BBC Today show presenter Nick Robinson was any more biased in favour of Conservatives, he'd have to have been chairman of Oxford University Conservative Association. Right, he fucking was. Right, okay. Joke 3. Okay, the setup of this joke is true. People tend not to believe it, so it doesn't get the laugh it should, but it is true. In the USA, Donald Trump has removed all references on government websites to the plane that bombed Hiroshima in 1945 because it was called Enola Gay. Presumably thinks the plane was named Enola Gay by gay pilots to further the homosexual agenda. Because there's nothing the gay community want more than to be associated with the irradiated deaths of Japanese people. That's the punchline there, Edinburgh. The sentence, the irradiated deaths of 140,000 Japanese people. Those Christmas corporate party bookings looking ever more distant. Joke 4. The plane Enola Gay was actually named Enola Gay after the pilot's mother. Thinking it was named Enola Gay to promote homosexuality makes about as much sense as thinking Donald Trump was named Donald Trump to normalise chronic flatulence. What kind of name is Donald Trump? Anyway, it sounds like the name of a 1930s newspaper cartoon strip about a Scottish duck with irritable bowel syndrome. Joke 5. Meanwhile, in the EU citizens have been warned that the world is in such a state they should stockpile 72 hours worth of delicious European food, like Dutch cheese, German salami and fine French wine. Meanwhile, here at home, the Labour government are preparing a video where you're shown how to make a massive shepherd's pie by an AI avatar of John Prescott. Joke 6. Keir Starmer should be an easy target for coming back, not that the Tories are in such a state. The real opposition is now reform, sadly, although Nigel Farage does look like the sort of man who, before masturbating, would put on a pair of driving gloves. And a little cap. And make himself a flask of oxtail soup and a cheese sandwich for a well-earned pit stop at half-time. That's the end of the fun topical section at the top of the show. But it's a very difficult time to be doing comedy. I don't know what even is comedy? That's the big question. Mark Twain tried to define comedy. Mark Twain said tragedy plus time equals comedy. And I say tragedy plus time equals Morrissey. But a lot of my jokes are affected by the passing of time. For example, 18 years ago, I wrote a routine about how I thought that Russell Brand was a bit of a sleazy creep. Right? And 18 years ago, I can't remember the setup, but the punchline was this sentence. The way that Russell Brand thinks up cutesy diminutive names for his own penis makes him sound like a child molester who's trying to convince himself to allow himself to molest himself. So that was 18 years ago. And then 2 years ago, all these rumours that are true came out about Russell Brand. So people started putting that bit up online everywhere from 18 years ago, and underneath people were going, look, Stuart Lee knew. He's a genius, he's like a prophet. Then about 2 days later, people were going, look, Stuart Lee knew. Why didn't he tell anyone? He's part of the BBC cover-up. Get him! Kill him! Kill Stuart Lee! Kill him! But I didn't know. Me thinking Russell Brand was a bit of a sleazy creep 18 years ago, and all what's come out about him is just a coincidence. I mean, forsooth. Even a dysfunctional vintage timepiece is correct in its assertion of the hour twice a day. I got threatened for doing a joke about Russell Brand by Russell Brand. The foyer at Six Music in London about 5 years back, and he came in, he's really tall, and he kind of squashed me up against the wall, and he said, I hear you've done a joke about me. And then he threatened me under his breath for about 10 minutes, in a very eloquent way. It was like being menaced by an antique thesaurus. The one where all the pages are stuck together with cum and blood. I'm always getting threatened for jokes. I got threatened for doing a joke about Michael McIntyre by Michael McIntyre's manager. But he's dead now, actually. So, oh dear, don't laugh at that. He's a young man. Actually, that's not supposed to be the funny part of that routine. I'm not going to do that routine now because, well, I don't want people writing about it, then I was sick, you made fun of this guy, because I haven't, but you've laughed at it, so... The problem is I have to think about... Okay, the problem is I'm one of the last comedians from the sort of 1980s left-wing liberal alternative comedy tradition, so I have to think about the consequences of what I say and whether it's justifiable and whether it helps or hinders. And I wish I didn't have to do that, you know. I wish I was one of these $60 million Netflix comedians. They come out and they're on Netflix, so they like. They come out and they're on Netflix, and there's all bombs going off, and rap music and stuff. And they have a go at everyone, don't they? Disabled people, transgender people, migrants, and the more offensive they are, the more money they make. Jimmy Carr has made much more money out of stereotyping gypsies than any gypsy has made out of failing to tarmac a drive. Well, it's a clever joke that Edinburgh, I'm going to explain why. It's because it manages to be both liberal and reactionary at the same time. It's the kind of joke Ricky Gervais thinks he writes. But it's not that I don't like the $60 million Netflix comedians have paid, okay? It's just that I don't really understand a lot of their material. Who knows who Dave Chappelle is, right? Anyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dave Chappelle's the most critically acclaimed, most successful stand-up in America, and he's very good, but he doesn't like the transgender people, that's his thing. And he's got a routine about that, and I didn't understand it, so I'm going to read it out. Now this routine, it's got the N-word in it. Dave Chappelle can say it if he wants, obviously I'm not going to. When we get to that bit, I'll just say the N-word, okay? There might have been a point 10 or 15 years ago, I might have said the N-word on stage if I was quoting a black person using it, or in 1964 Tory local election campaign. Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it tonight. And you know, tragically, of course, this being Edinburgh, there's no black people in we can ask. Any that might have come have been scared off by your horrible fucking flags, haven't they? So, this is, sorry, it's worth down south. So this is Dave Chappelle's joke about transgender people, so we'll read this out and then we'll try and figure it out. He says, I wrote a play about transgenders because you know how the gays like plays. It's about a black transgender woman. It's very sad, but it's moving. Her pronoun is the N-word. She's very lonely. White liberals don't know how to talk to her. Okay, now when he does that, I get such a big laugh. He can spin round 3 times on one leg, snapping his thigh while it subsides. I didn't sell that joke very well, to be fair. But I think I can see what he's saying. What he's saying, I think, Dave Chappelle, is he thinks that race issues take precedence over gender issues in the minds... No, he's saying gender issues take precedence over race issues in the minds of white American liberals. And he may be right about that. But the problem is, he says that the N-word is the black woman's pronoun, and the N-word is not a pronoun. The N-word is a noun, isn't it? Pronouns are he, she, you, it, they, etc. Yeah, so I don't get me wrong, I understand that in the urban American idiom, the N-word can sometimes take the place of a pronoun, but the N-word is still a noun, even if it's doing the syntactical work of a pronoun. You know, to be fair, that joke goes down really well on the night in front of its intended audience, partly because of the frisson created by the taboo nature of the N-word, particularly in the hands of an experienced professional like Dave Chappelle, who has every right culturally to use the N-word however he sees fit. But personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing a joke that misrepresented the rules of grammar in that way. Even if, Edinburgh, I agree wholeheartedly with the ideological position it represents. And it's anxieties like that, I think, that explain why this N-word ain't never gonna get no $60 million Netflix special. I probably won't do that again. I'm not sure about it. That is the closest I come to the kind of Netflix shock horror comedy, and I wish I could do that kind of stuff. Yeah, they say what they like, can't they? The Netflix comedians and the right-wing internet people and the Daily Telegraph columnists. They can say Ricky Gervais can come out every night and call Rosie Jones a spastic. Bill Burr can call all feminists ugly. Katie Hopkins can call migrants cockroaches. Lawrence Fox can call his kids on a Sunday afternoon. At a pre-arranged time, agreed upon in advance by both parties' legal representatives. But it would be a relief, I think, for me to be a Netflix comedian, be able to just say whatever I wanted and not to care. And I think that we all would like that sort of absolution of being absolved of responsibility. And I think that's why in our culture the legends of vampires and werewolves are so enduring, because if you're transformed into one of these characters, you wouldn't be responsible for what you say. Sir, you were very eloquent before. Would you rather be, if you had to choose, would you rather be a werewolf or a vampire? Probably a vampire. Why would that be? You'd live forever if you wanted to. But they're able to take their own lives then. They what? They can go in the sun. Yeah, so I'm sure never thought of it like that. You can live forever. And then you go, oh, fucking enough of this. So, because that's always the question about immortality, isn't it? Would you want to? Would you be haunted by it? You've seen a way out. Would you not be troubled by the necessity of feeding nightly on human blood, though, causing endless suffering to innocent people? Not if you're a vampire. That's a very logical answer. A genius as well. What about you, man? Would you prefer to be a werewolf or a vampire? A vampire, why? For the same as he said. You're right, he's raised the bar. What about you, sir? Would you rather be a werewolf or a vampire? Neither, but that's not the response. Would you rather be? Fine, forget it. So, one of the things about audience interaction is just knowing when to walk away. The problem is, the whole night, in terms of interacting with the public, was peaked too early twice. Some ancient Old Testament prophet character full of knowledge and sense. Is he always like that? Is that what he's like at home? He's annoying and knows very thoughtful answers to everything. Yes. I'm divorced now, of course. So, for a similar reason. But, don't fucking clap that. You're right not to give it too much thought, all of you, or you give it, arguably, too much thought. Because they don't make sense, those stories. They're contradictory, aren't they? The vampires, as you say, they're repelled, aren't they? Not just by crucifixes, but by anything in the shape of a cross, even just two sticks held up like that will do. Logically, if a vampire had to vote in a local election. Come on, everyone. That's what the critics like about me, that I let you do the work. But today, Saturday night, there's a lot of people going, what, would they have to do a postal vote? Is that the day? Is that what he's saying? What is it? Right? Whereas werewolves, in contrast, normally I gesture to someone who chose to be a werewolf at this point, but I lost the will. Whereas werewolves are only turned into werewolves by the full moon, aren't they? Not by anything large, white and round. Otherwise, a werewolf bloke would turn into a werewolf if he saw Greg Wallace's face. Can I just point out, I wrote that joke in the summer of last year. It was fine, then I put it in the tryouts for this show in December, and then 3 days later, Greg Wallace is in trouble for sexually harassing people at the BBC. And people are going, oh, you know, people are going, oh, look, Stuart Lee knew he was a genius. I just thought he looked like a moon, and he does. Now it doesn't work, that joke. I go, blah, 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 Greg Wallace. And everyone goes, oh, is this about that? No. Is it? It's confusing now, isn't it? So you're thinking, why don't you just drop it and do it about something? I can't, right? Because if you've not seen me before, you won't know. But my shows have novelistic levels of complexity. I've been described by Sean Lennon as the James Joyce of stand-up. A lot of you, of course, don't know either of those people. So it's very complex work. And I can't drop that joke because there's another joke in the second half that refers back to it. and it involves a prop that has cost me £6,000 to make. So I've got to hang on to it, but it is confusing now. It used to be straightforward. I'd come out and go, blah, 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 werewolf bloke, sees Greg Wallace's face, turns into a werewolf, kills loads of tramps, wakes up naked in the zoo, right? Now, people are going, has Greg Wallace done that? No. Has he killed tramps naked? No. It sounds like something he'd do. Has he done? I don't know. He might have done, I don't know. We won't know until we have the results of the full BBC internal investigation in 17 years' time. That always used to happen, didn't it, in 70s British horror films. There'd always be tramps getting killed. Tramps in the 70s, standing around bins full of burning fire, warming themselves. Remember, there was always, in the 70s, remember? Yeah, man. There's always tramps, weren't there? Standing around bins full of burning fire, warming themselves. Remember? You never see that anymore, do you? Another undeniable sign of global warming. If anything, these days the tramps are too hot, aren't they? They're too hot, the tramps. I was in Glasgow this morning, actually. The bloke came up to me, covered in filth, his hair matted, barefoot, newspapers for trousers, and it was the mayor of Glasgow. Not really, it wasn't. It was a tramp. Shit, wasn't it? They're too hot, aren't they, the tramps? And he said to me, oh, spare us 20p for a Calippo, sir. They're too hot. They're too hot. Hot tramp, I love you so. David Bowie there. Loved the tramps, didn't he, David Bowie? And 14-year-old girls, of course. But we don't talk about that, do we? No. Because he's a national treasure, isn't he, David Bowie? Not like Russell Brand. The culture decides which talents we can afford to sacrifice. It's a punchline of that, but that was finished now. So, it would be a relief, wouldn't it? To be a Netflix comedian and not to have to care, to have no moral system, to be a werewolf or a vampire, to be able to do what you want, be unaccountable, or just to have inner reserves of power and strength. And I think that is why powerless, impotent, middle-aged men like me like all those Liam Neeson films, where he plays a powerless, impotent, middle-aged man whose family all think he's a loser. But it turns out he used to be a high-trained government assassin. And then his kid gets kidnapped, and he saves her, and he kills loads of people, and finally, his ex-wife starts showing him a bit of belated respect. Like those films, that means the four men that have come together. Andrew Tate fan club. But, have you seen them? Those Liam Neeson is a middle-aged man who goes mad films. Taken, that's a good one. Taken 2, The Return. Taken 3, Taken Again. Taken 4. Have you taken your statins, dear, today? You look hot. Have you taken your statins? I used to like those Liam Neeson is a middle-aged man who goes mad films, but they've gone off the boil since Netflix started making sort of knock-off versions of them. There's a lot of the Netflix films just shit, aren't they? Because they have loads of voiceovers explaining the plot and repeating all the plot points. And they have loads of flashbacks repeating the plot, making sure you understand it, and characters explaining everything over and over again. And it's because Netflix have told filmmakers to make what they call two-screen television, right? Repeat everything. Because they're worried that at the same time as looking at Netflix, the average Netflix viewer is also looking at their phone, watching a film of an American eating more cinnamon with his medically advised. But it would be a relief, I think, to be a Netflix comedian or a monster or to be able to just to be cruel and not care and actually experience what that would be like a couple of years ago. I'm going to tell you about it now. It's quite a long story, so I'm going to do it in the style of a 1970s Dave Allen monologue. Can I have the 1970s Dave Allen monologue lighting state, please? Thank you. Right, so he used to sit on a stool, didn't he? And then he used to cross his legs. I won't bother with that. Right, so as well as being a stand-up comedian, I know a lot about two other things, right? And the first thing that I know a lot about is British experimental jazz from the 1960s to the noughties, okay? And I actually answered questions on this on Celebrity Mastermind, and I won. And I beat John Thompson from The Fast Show, whose specialist subject was James Bond villains. And I would also have beaten John Thompson from The Fast Show if I'd done his round. Because I was getting questions like, which Japanese jazz duo collaborated with the guitarist Derek Bailey on the 1995 album Saisoro? And John Thompson was getting, what colour was Blofeld's cat? And the other thing that I know a lot about is the post-war Irish surrealist painter Ethel Colquhoun, who's a bit popular again at the moment. And I often get asked to write or broadcast about her, not because I know the most about her, I absolutely don't, but I'm the most famous person that knows anything about her. That is how the stupid British celebrity-driven media works. And that's why David Baddiel is currently presenting a programme about cycling across France, instead of it being done by a French Tour de France. So, about 2 years back, there was a commercial gallery where they sell the paintings, exhibition of this Ethel Colquhoun's art in Bloomsbury in London. And they asked me if I would go along on the first night when they have a dinner for all the rich art buyers and do a speech about her. Okay? And she had a thing in her will where after her death, 25% of all the money from all the sales of her paintings went to the Samaritans, right? I thought that was a good thing. So I said to them, yeah, I'll do it tonight. I do a lot of stuff for charity, but I don't have to do I'm like Christ in that respect. Humble character. So I went down, and the weird thing was there was only 3 of us there that were really interested in the art. Me, nice Irish sculptor woman, and Ethel Colquhoun's great niece, who was about 80, was wearing her old coat and let me touch it, which was good. But everyone else there were like millionaire art buyers in their 60s and 70s buying the art as an investment for their company, or young 20-something influencer blokes from the internet with asymmetrical hair and wooden clogs on, you know, tattoos of equal people doing heroin. Yeah, look at my tattoo, it's ironic. Sort of people that get on Taskmaster. Then there were loads of supermodels there who were getting invited to all these things to kind of keep everything moving. So people would go, why are you here? I am a millionaire art buyer, buying art as an investment. Why are you here? I'm an influencer from the internet. Why are you here? I'm a supermodel. We go to all these. And they go to me, why are you here? And I go, I've written extensively about the artist and her work for a variety of small print media. Anyway. After the speech at the dinner, I got sat next to a very nice, very elegant, very tall supermodel. I didn't know who she was. Some of you might. I don't really move in the world of the supermodels. But I'm more likely to than you giggling Scottish cunt. Forget it. Anyway. I couldn't get in here earlier, that's the problem though, going on. You can't come in there, it's a very high security theatre. My face on the front of it, you know. Fair enough though, fair enough. So, it's all gone wrong now, it's a horrible atmosphere. Anyway, we didn't have much in common and she was trying to talk to me, you know. So at one point she got the phone out and she started showing me photos of all really nice looking plates of food, you know. And she said to me, these are photos of all the dishes on the opening night menu for from the opening night of a new restaurant called Noma in Copenhagen, in Denmark, that I was invited to. And this is all the dishes, she said. But the menu is embargoed, she said, so you mustn't tell anyone about this. And I said, you don't have to worry about that. Because I'm not interested in it. And neither is anyone I know. I said, so I'm not out on a Friday night at the pub with a load of 50-something jazz blokes going, lads, look! I've got a photo of a flan, a risotto, and some kind of pie. But you must promise me not to tell anyone. I'm going to do that. And I looked over the table and the art players were laughing, they were toasting me with champagne and me making fun of this woman. The influencers were looking up from their phones, the supermodels were laughing behind their hands at me making fun of their friend. And that is not the kind of thing I would normally do in a social situation. I could do, but I don't. But the thing is, right, I may not be a $60 million alpha male Netflix stand-up comedian. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills, blah, 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 right? Then she tried to get the conversation moving again. She said to me a sentence that I've not heard before or since. And I'm not sure I fully understand to this day. She said to me, where are you on your food journey? Where are you on your food journey? Where are you on your food journey? You don't know what it means? No, well, say something, come on. Where are you on your food journey? You're a vegetarian. That's part of it. It's fine, you were taken by surprise. Normally, people say either the name of a food or the name of a chain of restaurants, and I have an answer prepared for both of those. Little peek for you there behind the wizard's curtain. Sorry, I threw you there. It's confusing, isn't it? Where are you? Go on, where are you on your food journey? You can say the name. Okay. Then she tried to keep it. I'm filming this next year in York, so you'll be able to see how that works normally on screen. I fed you a thing, you just come back with something. Oh, it's fine, man. So the problem is you. You've made it look easy. Man who just speak eloquently at length without prompting. Most people struggle. It's horrible what you've done. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't speak again to anyone. Then she tried again to get the conversation moving in the supermarket. She said to me, on the menu at Noma in Copenhagen, she said, there is a reindeer's penis. She said to me, would you eat a reindeer's penis? And I said, it depends. She said, it depends on what? I said, well, do you get chips with it? And the art buyer sent me down a bottle of champagne. Yeah, mate, you got her. The influencers were writing down what I was saying and uploading it to social media. The supermodels were openly laughing at me making fun of their friend to her face, something like a horrible sort of Netflix bloke. But then she came back at me. She said, no, she said. This is Noma in Copenhagen. It's a classy restaurant. The reindeer's penis doesn't come with chips, she said. The reindeer's penis comes with a bespoke ragu. She got quite a good laugh for that. It was my laugh. She got the laugh. It was my laugh, really. She said the words, but I put the infrastructure of the joke in place. All she had to do was come back with something quick and rhythmically satisfying. And I was going to be fine for faffing about. Right? But that was when we should have got out. The routine had peaked, we should have finished it there. But I'm a stand-up comedian, I'm like an addict, and if there's a possibility of more laughs in the room, I have to go back to the table with what we call the topper, which is where a bit's finished, but it's gone so well you can chuck an extra line on top at the end, and there's 7 or 8 that we've had to let go tonight. TV, no doubt. So I said to her, topper, I said to her, did you eat a lot of penis in Denmark? And she said, no, I preferred the bearded clown, and we were done. We were out. We were out. But for one night, on one night only, I ran the room, bossed her about, made fun of a woman, and I realised what it would be like to be a $60 million alpha male Netflix stand-up comedian, right? And the some level, I enjoyed it. That is the word. I enjoyed the cruelty of it and the power. Okay, do you think, man there in the black dress, do you think that we can be born evil, or do you think that we become evil as a result of forces that work upon us in life? Do you think we become evil, we not naturally? Do you work? What do you do? You're a school science technician, you work in a school, you have to believe the best in people, right? If you're working with children, you can't think, I'm not helping that one. You're innately evil. I'll make sure this Bunsen burner explodes. I don't know what I think. I suppose the question is, when we look in the bathroom mirror, who is the person that we see? When I look in the bathroom mirror, the person I see isn't the person that I think I am. Because when I look in the bathroom mirror, the person I see is the Welsh 1980s children's TV presenter Gaz Top. He lives next door to me. So maybe it isn't a bathroom mirror.
So windy.
Maybe it's a serving hatch. Gaz Top. Do you know who Gaz Top is, science technician? Do you know who he is? School science, do you know who Gaz Top is? No, you don't, do you? No. But a lot of you are probably thinking, why have you done a joke about a bloke most people won't know who he is? The reason is, because Gaz Top lives next door to me. Well, he lives over the road, but I changed it for him. Otherwise you'd be going, who is he and why's he dug a tunnel? Is it making sense, this? Because it's not supposed to be just that, it's supposed to be about ideas and, you know, culpability, accountability, good and evil, the consequences of our words and actions. Is that landing at all? No. That's probably my fault. I wasn't well when I was writing this. It all started in January. I went to Cornwall, to Bodmin Moor, and I wanted to go for a walk and see one of the stone circles, the Stannon Moor Stone Circle, which is a great one. But I left it a bit late, and by the time I found it, night was falling and the mist was starting to settle on the moor. And Is that it? Is that what we get tonight? It's supposed to be on both sides. Oh, it's spreading across. Good. Normally comes out from there as well. Rubbish, that is the worst. This is the most technically equipped theatre that we performed in. That is the worst. Harry Lord would have been livid about that. It's gone straight across. I shouldn't have to kick my own fog, should I? I'm glad that's gone on you, mate. I'll shut you up for a bit. I did start it, yeah. Your partner, we wanted one of these fog machines for the kitchen. It's funny, it's just gone all over towards you, as if it knew. Anyway, so I was on this moor, and it's a good stone circle, standing moor. It's not like Calanese, which is very tall, majestic series of stones. It's very small, sort of about 60 stones at about 2 foot high each. And but in the back of the stones, there's a kind of gap between the stones, which I think is where, at the equinox, our ancestors would have gathered and worshipped the moon with the face of Greg Wallace, but they wouldn't know what that was. So I did what I always do when I find these places. I sat down on a little tub, poured myself a bit of coffee and a little tot of Highland Park whiskey, and that was when I saw it. In the gap between the stones, there was a dog, right? Now it was a dog, but it was standing on its hind legs, as if it was trying to counterfeit human behaviour. A bit like when Rishi Sunak used a credit card. stop. Can the ice cream sellers just hold back? It's a very atmospheric bit. It'll be ruined by the arrival of ice cream. Just hold back. And then it started to sniff the air. And I was worried that it was sniffing me, and it started to approach me with a lopsided sort of bow-legged gait. And I'm not ashamed to say I was a little bit afraid. I turned and walked in the opposite direction. And then I know this is a cliche, but I felt its hot breath on my neck and a cloud passed over the moon. In the darkness, it sunk its teeth into my leg. It drew blood. I passed out. I was unconscious for 10, maybe 20 minutes. And when I came round, I was lying in a white circle of moonlight. No! $60 million! Netflix! The disabled! No! $60 million! Netflix! The transgender community! The migrants! Netflix! $60 million! No!
How's he doing? He's helping back. Yeah, they threw it over there. They were at the end of that road for some reason. Throw it out. Even better for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the $60 million Netflix series. It's time to unleash the inner beast and suspend all our values and petty liberal anxieties as we welcome America's greatest and only werewolf comedian, the Man Wolf.
Gonna make you scream, gonna make you crawl. I'm the Man Wolf. Hear the thunder roar, primeval call. I'm the Man Wolf. In Edinburgh, in London, England, on a Saturday night. It's growing on my hands, but I can't understand. My nails are too long, Edinburgh. I'm coming on too strong. Gonna make you sick when you see my dick. I'm the Man Wolf. You're gonna shit your pants when I step on in. I'm the Man Wolf, yeah. And I ain't got no time for pleasantries at all. Cause I broke into your grandma's house. I took a shit in the fucking hall of your grandma's house in Musselburgh on a fucking Saturday night. Yeah, I broke down your door, cause it's made of straw. And I killed your little pig on the kitchen floor. I kill it, and it bleeds out on the floor. I'm gonna make you sick when you see my dick. I'm the Man Wolf. You're gonna shit your pants when I step on ants. I'm the Man Wolf. Hear the thunder roar, primeval call. I'm the Man Wolf. The producer says this song goes on for too long. And tonight, it doesn't feel like it's wrong. Because there's very little werewolf energy here at her playhouse in Edinburgh tonight. And I am the Man Wolf. I'm the Man Wolf. I'm the Man Wolf. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. So Harry Lauder has let himself go. So I'm the Man Wolf, $60 million right-wing, right-leaning, libertarian, Netflix werewolf stand-up comedian. And you can suck my dick, lick my balls, and make me a fucking sandwich. Yeah. I'm the Man Wolf, $60 million right-wing, right-leaning, libertarian, Netflix werewolf stand-up comedian. And as such, Edinburgh, great to be here in Edinburgh in London, England. Oh, as such, I have no respect for your liberal values. I have no respect for your liberal consensus. I have no respect, Edinburgh, for your liberal ideas of where it's appropriate to take a fucking shit. Yeah? A well-tended Scottish allotment. I'll take a shit there. A lovingly crocheted Scottish baby's hat. I'll take a shit there. The grave of Captain Tom. I'll take a shit there. Take a fucking shit in the grave of Captain Tom. And if you don't like it, you can suck my dick. Lick my balls and make me a fucking sandwich. I'm the man wolf. $60 million right-leaning. It's my real hand there. Come here, lady, stand up. Stand up. Come on, stand up. Stand up. Right of the stage, come on. Stand up. Look at that. See? See? She likes it. She likes it. You know what the best part is? That's not a real hand. So that doesn't count as sexual assault. Yeah? What Greg Wallace didn't figure out. Use a plastic hand. What didn't Greg Wallace understand that emu guy had figured out in the 70s? Yeah? If you're grabbing a little kid's cock, yeah, use a plastic beak. Huh? So I'm the man wolf, $60 million right-leaning libertarian Netflix werewolf stand-up comedian, and as such, my act is basically a list of things I fucking hate, interrupted by exhortations for you to suck my dick and make me a variety of tasty bread-based snacks. So, I'll tell you who I fucking hate: the transgender people. Fuck them. I'm with J.K. Rowling on that. Fuck them. Are they men or are they women? They need to decide. Because if there's one thing I can't stand, it's people who change from being one thing to another. You like that? Well, suck my dick, lick my balls, make me a fucking sandwich. I was doing a show in London, England, and the compere, British guy, he said to me, "Before I bring you on, mate, so I don't make a bloody mistake, what are your preferred pronouns?" And I said to the British guy, "My preferred pronouns are suck my dick, lick my balls, and make me a fucking sandwich." And the British guy said, "There's only one pronoun in that sentence, mate." One pronoun, two possessive pronouns, three verbs, three adjectives, a conjunction, and an indefinite article. So I don't think you understood the question. And I said to him, "I don't think you understood that you need to suck my dick, lick my balls, and make me a fucking sandwich." Laugh it up, what's wrong with you? What, did Charlie Kirk take a bullet in the face for you to not laugh at my head? This is a freedom of speech issue. You laugh or I'll have you fired from your job. So I'm the man wolf. $60 million right-leaning libertarian, right-wing Netflix werewolf stand-up comedian. I'll tell you who I fucking hate. Liam Neeson. That pasty-faced Irish piece of shit. He's Irish. He's from Dublin, in London, England, and he's a piece of shit. Apparently, he's suffered a great deal. So have I, because I've seen the prick's last few films, right? I said to him, "Liam, I've written you a script, and instead of it some angst-ridden guy crying at a desk, you're a werewolf. It's called Liam Neeson is the Were Neeson. There's 7 heads in the ditch, blood in the gutter. Guy's dick's being chopped off and thrown up in a tree." And Liam Neeson, he said to me, "I'm not going to be doing your script in this film, Mr. Werewolf. Because what you fail to understand about the Liam Neeson film is, although it's not a very into monster, it's a very reveal that we all have a monster inside us. And films are often misunderstood as mental possession, as male rage. That's a lot of effort to go for nothing. Don't you understand? What's wrong with you people? What, this used to be a classy town, Edinburgh. In the 50s, this was a classy town in the 50s. In Edinburgh, if you was fucking an Edinburgh girl in the ass, she'd at least turn around and see what it was. It was a classy town. Not anymore. So I'm a man wolf. Right-leaning, right-wing
libertarian Netflix werewolf stand-up comedian. I'll tell you what I fucking hate. Baby Reindeer. Did anyone see that show? What a piece of shit, baby. I thought, Baby Reindeer, I thought, I'm gonna love this. 9 hours of Netflix about a baby reindeer. I'm gonna love that. What with me being an apex carnivore. I'm a fucking werewolf, fuck! What? Baby reindeer, you like food porn for me. You like MasterChef with less sexual assault of middle-aged women. So I sat down to watch this baby reindeer, and it turns out it isn't about a baby reindeer at all. It's about a Scotch guy. He's from Glasgow in London, England. And he's on drugs, and he keeps on crying, and then he keeps getting fucked up the ass. Every week, over and over again, dozens of times a week for 9 weeks. Fucked up the ass. Fucked up the ass. Fucked up the ass. Anyway, it turns out the story of Baby Reindeer is not strictly speaking true. And in real life, the crying Scotch guy was only fucked up the ass once. But because the show's on Netflix, he has to be fucked up the ass over and over again. In case the Netflix viewers was looking at their phones. Yeah, watching a film of a cat falling off a slippery work surface. Fuck you, baby reindeer. You don't suck my dick, lick my balls, and make me a
This is definitely his weirdest shows, yeah.
That's supposed to be over here, isn't it? Floor level. What's happened to me? Why am I in oh no! I wasn't a right-wing Netflix werewolf comedian, was I? Oh no, when I was a right-wing Netflix werewolf comedian, I hope I didn't say anything to offend the sensibilities of my predominantly Guardian reading audience. What did I talk about, sir, when I was Netflix, right-wing Netflix werewolf comedian? What did I talk about? Generally, sucking dicks and eating pastries. That's just a stupid throwaway bit, but I thought you of all people would have grasped it. The satire of the normalisation of brutal language in politics and entertainment. You were going to say that, we thought, look, you were trying to be funny, you were funny, you're right. But that's not your job tonight. Trying to have the audience funnier than the act, not at these ticket prices. Like that, there. See, this is clever. Why do you think, because you are clever, why do you think I've got a tiny penis on the front of this? No, it is a satire on Donald Trump, yeah, because that porn star described him as having a walnut-like, acorn-like penis. You know what I was thinking? Was if if you're sort of right-wing bullying Netflix comedian, you're probably sexually inadequate, so I had this little thing put on. But in a venue this size, the problem is the people up there, they probably can't even see. Too small. A woman said to me if she likes bullying, why don't you just make your penis bigger? Yeah, not in relation to this. It's just is that the kind of thing you like? Is it sort of more broad humour? Hey, when I was a werewolf comedian, I didn't talk about Michael McIntyre's manager, did I? I didn't talk about how at the BAFTA Awards in 2010, Michael McIntyre's manager got me in a headlock and started trying to choke me while hitting me on the head with the underside of a beer bottle and shouting at me that I should stop doing jokes about Michael McIntyre or I'd find my career ended sooner than I wanted it to. I didn't talk about that. And I didn't talk, hopefully, about how he did all of this in full view of Barbara Windsor. It looked like it was the most violent thing she'd ever seen. She went out with one of the cranes. I didn't talk, hopefully, about how, after about 10 minutes, Michael McIntyre's manager's minder came over, whose job appeared to be to protect members of the public from Michael McIntyre's manager. Michael McIntyre's manager's minder pulled Michael McIntyre's manager off me, and then he gave me a phone number to call in case my suit needed to be repaired, which suggested there was already a protocol in place. I didn't talk, hopefully, about how, about 2 years later, at a Christmas party, what? I can't hear you, I've got a hearing aid. What did you say? Beyond you. No, we can't manage, sorry about that. I didn't talk, hopefully, about how, a couple of years later, Michael McIntyre's manager died at a Christmas party of a cocaine overdose. Don't laugh at that, it's not to be sniffed at. But apparently, Michael McIntyre's manager had a serious cocaine problem for some years, and I've come to think of it, when he was trying to choke me to death at the BAFTAs in front of Barbara Windsor, the warning signs were there. There's no suggestion, by the way, that Michael McIntyre is in any way responsible for his manager's death, although, to be fair, the 25% of Michael McIntyre's earnings that Michael McIntyre's manager took would have been the money that enabled him to sustain that. So on some level, Michael McIntyre is an accessory to murder. In a way, though, in the spirit of this show, I admire Michael McIntyre's manager because he let the inner monster out, and he let the inner monster out. Except, unlike you or I, he was on 25% of Michael McIntyre's earnings. He had enough money to employ someone to follow him around full time, putting the inner monster back in. Maybe if the 1980s serial murderer Dennis Nielsen had been on 25% of Michael McIntyre's earnings, he might have been able to afford someone like that. Then all those young men wouldn't have ended up stuffed into that drain. Something for Michael McIntyre to think about. So hot in this. I'm not even supposed to do this. I've got coronary artery disease. I have. Don't worry about me. I'm on all sorts of medication. I've got losartan and Modipine, aspirin every day. So I may have coronary artery disease. But what I do have are a very particular set of pills. Yeah. Is that the kind of thing you like? Is it stupid cunt? Technically, I'm not even allowed to do this. At the start of the tour, I went for the insurance medical. And the doctor said, are you going to do that like 5 nights a week for 2 years in that costume? I said, yeah. She said, well, really, it's to be safe. You should lose 3 stone. Well, I've lost 1.5 stone, but I'm still technically operating beyond safe legal limits. I could die at any moment. You'd like that, wouldn't you? I saw his last show. What was it like? It's all right. It's people shouting out. I couldn't hear who was shouting. This is what dangerous comedy looks like. Not Ricky Gervais having to go at disabled people. An out-of-shape 57-year-old man with coronary artery disease doing Irish dancing in a hot werewolf costume. And that's Scottish indifferent. Sit down for the last bit of it. We have the Dave Allen monologue like statement. I'll tell you what, doing this for 9 months, you learn a new respect for wobbles.
He's gonna fall one night. Sure. Wise old sound around.
I've lost confidence in this show. When I started doing this in the 80s, it was called alternative comedy. It was the punk rock of comedy. The idea was we were going to make irrelevant and lay waste to all earlier forms of comedy. It's funny what you end up doing. I don't know what the point of it is. You know, the idea of this show, I wanted to sort of satirise the rise of hateful rhetoric in comedy and in politics, so I don't know if anyone, if people really care. care about it. Ricky Gervais can go out every night and call Rosie Jones a spastic. And he's not even dressed as a werewolf. He's dressed as a man who's come round to pick up some Lego that he bought on Gumtree. Problem is, on the right, they've got all these charismatic alpha male bullies, haven't they? Like Donald Trump and Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan, Hulk Hogan, Gervais, Putin, all these sorts of characters. Who've the Liberals got? No, we've got Fascinating Ida and Carol Vorderman. Both of whom are great, but it's not a fair fight, is it? You know? Carol Vorderman versus Hulk Hogan, although it's arguable she's got more chance given that he's died since her opening. Well, I read an interview with Steve Van Zandt from Springsteen's band, and he said the problem is there's no tough good guys. He said, where are the tough good guys? And I thought, well, maybe that's where I come in. Maybe my sacred calling is somehow to combine the liberal values of the 1980s alternative comedy circuit I came up in with the reactionary werewolf energy of the Netflix comedians of today. And that's what I'm going to try and do now, under controlled circumstances. Will you please help me count down from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the transformation begin!
There's something deep inside, I got to get it out. Tell everybody, gonna scream and shout. It's been so long, I'm gonna do something. Tell everybody, gonna hear my song. Make you scream, make you cry, 'cause I'm a bad boy. You will thunder roar. So it's no good. I'm telling just like I should. Now it's all sure. It's time to go, go, go. Make you scream, make you cry, 'cause I'm the man. Hear the thunder roar, the bright evil call. I'm the man.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Greg Wallace has let himself go. So I'm a man wolf, $60 million left-wing, left-leaning liberal Netflix werewolf stand-up comedian. And you can suck my dick, cup my balls, and make me a toasted bruschetta with crushed avocado. That's right, you see how this is gonna work. So, I'm a man wolf, $60 million left-leaning, left-wing liberal Netflix werewolf comedian. I'll tell you who I fucking hate. Russell Brand. There's a guy so scared of justice, he's had himself baptized by the chief scout of London, England, Bear Grylls. And the River Thames, a river so clogged with human excrement, British athletes won't even train in it. Meanwhile, clumps of human excrement won't go into the River Thames because Russell Brand was baptized in it. You like that? Well, suck my dick, cup my balls, and make me a quinoa salad with a sweet chili dressing on the side. So I'm the man wolf, $60 million left-leaning liberal Netflix werewolf senator. I'll tell you who I fucking hate. The family of Captain Tom. The family of Captain Tom. Because nothing, but nothing says selfless philanthropy like a multi-million-pound underground luxury swimming pool in Spa.
It's what Captain Tom would have wanted.
Yeah, that and to be able to walk faster than 1 fucking mile a day. You like that? Well, suck my dick, cup my balls, and make me a spiced pumpkin latte with a wheat-free cookie on the side. The family of Captain Tom. You know what? When Captain Tom was walking round and round that garden for charity, I'd think he was already dead. I think the family of Captain Tom nailed Captain Tom's decomposing fucking corpse into that timber frame. And they was operating him with a remote control unit from a toy rack.
Come on, Johnny old granddad. Just one more bloody time. Round the old garden.
When English people speak, that's what I hear. So I'm a man wolf, left-leaning liberal Netflix werewolf standing comedian. I'll tell you what I fucking hate. Elon Musk. There's a guy who was obviously cruelly and terribly and relentlessly bullied in school. But not enough! Those bullies should have carried on till he was driving the point of a compass into his eye with the underside of a shitter. Should Western liberal democracy have to go down in a hail of amplified online neo-Nazi propaganda just because Elon Musk couldn't get a blowjob at the prom in 1987? You like that? Well, suck my... Actually, ladies, you know what? You don't have to suck my dick. Not anymore. Times have changed. We live in the era of informed consent. Yeah? You can suck my dick if you want to, but you don't have to. But ladies, if you choose to suck my dick, I assure you, any sexual pleasure I receive will be repaid on you tenfold. Consider it the beginning of an extensive program of reparations.
Does this look like a midlife crisis to you? Does it look like a character that's been created by a man who's struggling with something? I don't care what you think. I did this to myself, and I've never been happier.
So I'm a man wolf, $6 million left-wing, left-leaning liberal Netflix world standing here. I'll tell you what fucking Donald Trump. He's owed so much money in sexual lawsuits, he's had to monetize the presidency. You can buy a Donald Trump cologne for men. It's called Fight, 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 the Donald Trump cologne for men. I'm bringing out a Donald Trump scent for women. It's called Fight, 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 Fight off Donald Trump's unwanted sexual offenses. In the changing room, in the Miss World backstage area, on the pedophile island. It's just me, or does it seem strange to you that Peter Mandelson will lose his job for being friends with a pedophile, but Donald Trump, who's friends with the same pedophile, is invited to dinner with the king, whose brother lost his job because he was friends with the same pedophile. What a great system you have here. It's that fucking Donald Trump. I hate him because he's going to drill for oil, destroy the environment, and the forests wherein I dwell. That's what he said. Drill, baby, drill. You know what? I'd like to drill my barbed werewolf cock in Donald Trump's fat orange ass. While shouting out, how's that for unprecedented penetration of the Rust Belt, Donald? So I got a joke for you, bro. Knock, knock. Who's that? Benjamin Netanyahu.
You're not sure about that, are you? You're worried if you laugh at that, you'll get 14 years in prison off the Home Secretary. Because there are things that you can't joke about, but none of them are the things that the Netflix comedians and the Daily Telegraph columnists say they are. There's comedians being pulled off air at Trump's request in the States, and if we, the trade deal, Vance says that we're going to have to allow, to get it, we're going to have to allow unfettered access to our markets for all the American social media platforms full of lies and far-right opinion. I don't know where we're going. Will I be able to we're allowed to do this show in 18 months' time? Will I be allowed to show a picture of Greg Wallace's face as a moon? Depends if he discovers he's done something even worse, doesn't it? Like lock a pastry chef in a walk-in fridge or something, I don't know. don't know what the point of this show is anyway. I sort of lost faith in it. I wanted to dress up as a right-wing werewolf to take the piss out of the normalisation of all that horrible rhetoric, but the problem is, for a lot of you, that was your favourite bit, wasn't it? I'm not going to lie to you, I enjoyed doing it as well. The thing is, though, it's easy to do that sort of Netflix comedy because it has no consistent moral position, so you can make a joke about anything. And if the rhythm of a sentence doesn't work, you can just throw in loads of fucks to balance out the syllable. What I do as me is far more difficult and impressive. And yet, for some reason, I'm not able to go on television. The problem is that when you get past a certain age, your face just doesn't fit. But yeah, I enjoyed the cruelty and the power of those werewolves, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe we're all attracted to cruelty and power. Maybe that's why we're in the state that we're in. And I thought about that night at the art gallery with the model, and I realised there was a different way of telling that story that was perhaps more honest and revealing. So I'm going to tell it again now, but this time I'm going to do it in the form of a Dylan-esque acoustic ballad. There's nothing people like more than when a 57-year-old man reaches for an acoustic guitar at 9:25. This is the last bit of the show, and it ends on a bit of a downer. But luckily, there's a built-in encore that offers the false possibility of hope. Sing a song about the lighting state, please. Dave Allen, I think. What are you talking about? Have you seen this sort of thing before? Is that... You know what, if you're bored, I'll take this off, all right, you won't be distracted. First time that's happened. I've written this as a sort of parody of, I've written this in the style of Bob Dylan. I wrote it in December. If you remember back in December, it was largely a forgotten figure, but this seems to have helped to get things moving again. So this is my night at the art gallery in the style of Bob Dylan. In each verse, Bob Dylan is 20 years older when he sings, and we start with him in the 60s when he comes in. Supermodel, I was a monster when I made them laugh at you.
Just for saying that the reindeer's penis came with ragu.
I was a monster when I put you down.
In front of the umpires and the influencers and the clown.
Now the 80s.
Oh, Supermodel. I did it, I did. Even wanted a bit. When I came at you with my stand-up comedian shit, I felt myself had done what the highest form I went. And like some noble Nubian queen, you just rose above it.
talking to your supermodel friends on your supermodel phone. I hope you will describe me with baffled but endearing tones, 'cause I'll be listening to British experimental jazz of the 1970s on vinyl in the dark on my own. Thank you. Do not despair, do not despair. We live in extreme, terrible times, conflicts raging all over the world, collapse of Western democratic norms, climate change, but there is hope for the future, and that hope, I think, lies with the young people. And if only there was some in tonight. Good, isn't it? They're on. I'll give you an example of what I mean. So there's been all these riots again this summer. They were kind of worse last summer, even though more time and effort was spent on pushing them this year, but they were still bad. And where I live in East London, there was a rumour that in the summer that the far right were going to come and attack the mosque on Dalston High Road. And my son, he's 17, and he's never done anything like this before. He's not really shown that sort of initiative, but off his own bat, he drew up and he printed up a load of posters telling people to go down and assemble peacefully in the road to head anything off, and he stuck them all up everywhere. And then I didn't even know he knew how to do this. He went and he linked up to all the different Facebook and neighbourhood groups telling people to go down and head off any trouble. Again, you know, we didn't tell him to do that. And then at night, he went down with his friends with loads of snacks and drinks that he made for all the protesters that he helped to assemble. And I was very moved by it, and it gave me hope for the future. Never empties the dishwasher though. Never empties the fucking dishwasher. And he didn't do any of that other stuff either. Just sits in his room fucking about on his phone. We're doomed and there's no hope. It's the end. I would like to thank this theatre. I think all the staff have been absolutely brilliant. Front of house and backstage everywhere. I'd like to thank you for coming out. This was where I started doing comedy in the Fringe here in 1987, and it's great to play this venue after 40 years. And, so who knows where I'll be in another 40. So, thanks for coming. I'll sign stuff on the first balcony if you want, but I have to go and put trousers on first due to a draconian law of the Scottish Parliament. Thank you very much for coming out. Have a good year.